Hey, hey, Happy New Year. It's time for the after party. Let's bring on the noise. Hey, how's it going, everyone?
Good.
Hello.
Ah.
I brought chips to the party.
Oh, yeah, what flavor?
Just sea salt.
That's it.
I wanted to get something that was probably universally liked.
But you brought Andy. No.
Oh, that's Andy. I'm sorry.
Deep cut.
Remember, Andy, that's a Patreon perk right there.
It is. You get to
get insulted by
roasted
Doug as a Patreon perk.
You get roasted
that was
by
me.
No, I didn't have anything to do with it.
Oh, that was Doug. That was definitely Doug.
No, it's not me. I was being nice.
See, I watched the painting stream last night where Doug's friend Amanda pointed out that Doug is horrible to everyone that he loves. So I'm feeling really, I don't know, like unloved because I've never known Doug to roast anyone in the UK.
He's been the nicest person you've ever known.
I know, literally. So now I realize how much Doug hates me.
Yeah, so fuck you, Doug. Yeah.
Doug is never mean.
There, that make up for it?
Yeah, you're going to have to do a lot of making up, Doug, I think.
Doug's going to have to wear a lot of makeup.
And there was me promising in the chat just now, in the comments, that I wouldn't take the mickey out of a certain book. And my New Year's resolution would be to be nice. I think I might take that back now, Doug.
All right.
I mean, I might retract that.
Andy, good to see you, my friend.
Indeed.
We just had the 2022 resolutions show over on YouTube.
I
Is there anything on your list?
Wait. Andy's enthusiasm about the show is like, yeah, I saw. Like
a disappointed dad.
He's so disappointed.
I know. Well, I mean, here we are trying to, integrate you into society, Andy, and it's just not working very well.
It's not going to happen, is it? Really?
No.
No. The reason I said I saw was because I saw the certain 5e book that you can discuss next week, and thought, okay. Yeah. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah, we might not discuss it next week. We might find other things to discuss instead.
That might be the after party topic for next week.
Yeah, that's probably a better idea, to be fair.
Yeah. Resolutions. Mothership's on there.
Yeah.
I have to do something with Mothership. I really must do something with Mothership. D's on there. Twilight 2000 is almost certainly on there because I've been going on about running it since I had the
since
PDFs.
1994.
Actually, probably since 1986 with the first edition or something. But yeah, so the Twilight's definitely on there somewhere. Maybe a little Vason. Death in Space I've got coming at some point. I want to do something with that. Yeah, a few bits and bobs, really.
I mean, Doug had a really good point that really I should probably have a look at my Kickstarter list and actually.
I think the one book that I'm really excited, even though I've gotten the PDF already, is Death in Space is probably the one book that I'm really excited to finally get in. But because that like the way the Mork Borg book is, like it's just, it's like an art piece more than it is. Wow, Andy, look at that! I start talking and Andy's like, "Nah, I'm done. Forget it. I'm out of here."
He doesn't like Mork Borg because it's too arty.
Like, but that's one of the main draws of that game, and I have a feeling that Death in Space will kind of have some of that draw as well. I'm excited to see what the finished product is going to look like.
Yeah,
and I'm surprised that didn't get because EndWorld did their top 10 most anticipated RPGs of 2022, and I'm surprised that one wasn't on there.
I'm kind of, I don't know. I've got a bit of FOMO about Death in Space. I was really interested in it, then I kind of decided not to bother with it because Mothership. What I did back instead was Vast Grimm.
Yep.
And I'm kind of dissatisfied with Vast Grimm now. I haven't read it cover to cover. It's only in PDF right now anyway. Yep. But the layout is the art is wonderful and the layout is kind of meh.
Yeah, it really felt like a copy and paste of Mork Borg. Just like, okay, there wasn't anything that like made it feel
like
unique,
worse than that. I think like the actual typesetting is just not great.
Yeah, not too.
So whereas the typesetting of Morkborg, Morkborg and of Death in Space, from what little I've seen, is kind of, looks like it's been done by a designer. This almost looks like someone's just taken a whole bunch of really pretty pictures and then just drawn some text boxes over the top of it.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel the same.
I don't know a lot about Death in Space, but I have to say that I feel like you probably made the right choice backing Mothership, just because having played it, I played it once and then I've sort of kept my eye on it, sort of thing, because it's not the sort of thing that I'd particularly like to run. I did enjoy playing it, but I think I'd play it more than I would run it. But they're you can tell they're really putting a lot of effort into it, and if that is the sort of game that you want to play, they're there for you. You know what I mean? Like, you see the Hull Breach thing that they've put out. It's like a source book of adventures. Like, they put 2 out already. Like, there's one go, or they're both on Kickstarter or something. But yeah,
I kind of have an issue with a game where, or just when your game is pretty rules light, and it's not because Mothership's not very heavy as far as rules and everything. Correct?
It can be kind of crunchy in places, but it's certainly. I mean,
but
the right? So
there's a lot of things that ping off each other. Like, the rules aren't super, but it's kind of like, if you're this class and this other thing happens, this thing happens, then this other class does something.
But the main rules itself, there's not a whole lot of pages there, right? I know I've got the PDF somewhere. I haven't really taken a look at it. That's another reason why I want to play it, is because I know I haven't. I just haven't played it. The actual rules to Mothership aren't all that much.
No, you're right. It's not the crunchiest game in the world. That's
I mean, it's not like a 200-page book to read and to.
The first time I played it, we went through character creation in 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Like, the Bruce was saying we should do character creation. I was like, really? We're gonna do character creation the first time we ever play this? And it's it's not that bad. Yeah.
So why have a source book that's 300 some odd pages if your basic rule set is not even 50 or 60? I don't know. It just seems like you're kind of tacking on something that's really big onto. I don't know, but that's just me. That's just when you have a system that's fairly rules light and pick up and play. Why would you? But I guess there's a market for it. I'm just being ridiculous.
Because people don't want to write their own stuff. That's the thing.
Right? Yeah, that's true.
Right?
That's true.
I don't want to have to write a whole set. Like rules light games more often than not put me off, because there's just not enough to actually run a game off it without you putting in further effort than just learning the rules. You know what I mean? So I think that's why I'm keen on the. Well, I mean, I haven't backed it, and I'm probably not going to. But if I was into that, the Hull Breach thing would totally be down my alley, right? Because I could, even if it was just a case of I could string. I'd be like, oh, that's cool. I'm going to put them both into a game, and now I've got to. That's maximum effort for me. I don't want to write more than that,
Tell you what, I'm really excited about that. It's currently funding. I've talked about it on the show before, so I didn't really want to bring it up on the Kickstarter weekend again. Hell Knight. I really love the look of Hell Knight. It's by Gabriel Quiroga, who did Warpland and Neurocity, and it's like a 2d6, almost kind of PBTA in rule set. In that you roll 2d6, and depending on how high up the slide you go is how successful you are. But the concept is that you're a heavy metal biker gang, and it turns out that today is the last day of the world, and you are the last hope for saving the entire planet. So it is Hell Knight, and you as bikers have to save the world. And I love the concept. And Warpland is the only post-APOC game I have, I think, other than Degenesis, and I haven't managed to run it yet. I should probably go on my list of things to run. But it's super, super cool. The system's really nice and really light, and really a very kind of lore not lore rich, but it's a heavy setting that's really arty, like Mortborg is. So you read the book, and just through looking at the layout and the pages, you kind of understand the game pretty quickly.
I forgot that's what I was going to bring up for one of the resolutions as well. Is that I was going to say that when the pandemic started and all that, and all the gaming went away, I got into a deep funk where I was buying a whole heap of solo RPG content on Kickstarter, and they're all going to start coming through soon. Just in time for the world to start opening up again. But
so much stuff that didn't turn up last year, like Ziegenquest stuff.
Yeah, so I'm doing Stormweaver, which is a RPG where you're a dwarf in like a, I don't know, it's a dungeon crawl, like choose your own adventure sort of thing. And there's this one, and God, I can't even remember the name of it, but it's basically do you remember that game Brutal Legend, the PS3 game? Yeah, it's basically that in solo RPG form.
Yeah, I remember you showing me that before. It looks pretty cool.
It's already been released in German, but the Kickstarter I got it for was the English translation. So basically, it's a different type of Kickstarter, because you kind of already know that it's good, because like a lot of people already like it. It's just the translation is basically what it's called. Metal Heroes and the Fate of Rock. I'll send you the link. Yeah. But it's it should be basically you're adventuring through 80s hair metal covers, album covers. You know what I mean?
I'll bring that up in just a second. I'm also going to show Hell Knight. Just amazing looking. Chrome tab, Hell Knight. There we go. So this was Hell Knight. And
it looks awesome. Oh, that's so metal.
Look at that.
Yeah. All right. And this is an RPG, or is it like
this is an RPG? Oh, that's a video. Let's do this. Hang on, if I take that back.
It's the 80s, and hell just brothers. Inspired by the work of Walter S. Thompson and badass metal album
nice.
From Gabriel Quiroga, creator of Neurosity and Wordland, comes a tour de force that will seal the fate of cosmic violence.
I love it.
Mate, that's wicked.
A Doom Biker RPG now on Kickstarter.
So, I mean, it's really relatively inexpensive. It's $26 for the book, and it's now a physical, like, hardback book. My pledge is a little bit higher than that, because I'm also going to get the hardcover version of Warpland, which I have in paperback at the moment, and I haven't run it, but it's just stunning. Motorcycle looked like a gargoyle with a jackal head, and it growled menacingly at the fallen. Her master, Xandar, lovingly pet-stoked her gas tank and fed a pulsing chunk of flesh into her chromed maw. Now, what this reminds me of as well is there was a movie in the 80s that neither of you will have seen, I'm pretty sure. So Zach will say, yeah, I know that one. I wrote it.
I was born in the 80s, mate. Yeah. There's a large chance I don't know what you're going to be talking about.
I know. It was called I Bought a Vampire Motorcycle.
No,
I mean,
I have not heard of that.
You probably know Christine, the movie Christine, the Stephen King one about.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's kind of that, but imagine that it was like the 1980s British zero budget, like B movie version.
I love that.
It's a terrible movie that everyone should see, and it's literally some guy, Neil Morrissey from the TV show Men Behaving Badly. For anyone who is in any way au fait with British comedy shows, buys a bike, and it turns out to be a vampire and goes around killing people.
Sanjuro's seen it.
Ah, yes. Yeah, it's terrible, isn't it? But amazing at the same time. Zach, you shared a link, didn't you? Yes. So let's just grab that.
I mean, you don't need to look at it. It's basically exactly
Yeah, we
what you
do.
just showed us. It's like it's the same thing, but it's a solo RPG. Like it's
Nice.
yeah.
No, we totally have to look at it. But yeah,
Yeah.
very cool. Oh,
It's
rock comedy
essentially the
game.
same thing. Yeah.
Similar sort of concept of heavy metal and saving the world.
Yep, and yeah, living in 80s hair metal album covers is
Nice.
essentially what it is. Yeah.
Very, very cool.
Yeah.
I
But I'm
remember
looking
that,
forward to that.
First, when I think they had a campaign before this one, that maybe they cancelled or something.
Well, let's see. It was originally released in German, and this campaign was specifically just to translate it into English. And you know, I you know, Kickstarter being Kickstarter, obviously with some more content and all that kind of stuff. But they were basically like, yeah, people in Germany loved it, and you know, monolingual English idiots will probably enjoy it as well. So why don't you pay for it? Yeah.
Trying to work out what happened to our good friend Andy, who just disappeared. I'm just going to make sure that he's okay because he's now officially dropped off. Maybe he had another power cut. I know he's been having some struggles. I really like the look of that. Yeah, it's been. I think it's going to be a really interesting year. We've got obviously Blade Runner coming, Rivers of London. That I'm super excited about, even though I'm.
Now, Rivers of London, that was like the third year it's been on the most anticipated RPG list, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, it's going to be awesome. I sat in on a seminar at Dragon Meet with Paul Fricker and Lynn Hardy and Ben Aronovich, who was the author of the original novels. And yeah, it sounds like it's going to be really cool. They're taking 7th edition, so pretty much the rules from the 7th edition starter set, but they've totally changed the magic system and they've added a couple of mechanics here and there. So for Call of Cthulhu, and looks like they're going to really try and do the book justice, and they're actually paying attention to the Ben Aronovich, the author of Rivers of London, says the way that magic works in Rivers of London is that there is physics behind it, and he knows what the physics are, and therefore when creating spells for the role-playing game, he's taking the viewpoint of how the spells actually would work within this fictional kind of science that's behind all the spells. So you want to do X, Y, Z. Well, actually, that's going to be a 4th level spell, because although it looks easy, what you actually have to do is this, 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 and this. So it's a much more complicated
most nerds
thing.
just make a language. Right? This guy's made like a whole science.
Yeah,
That's wild.
Yeah, it's great. And we'll definitely buy that when it shows up.
Sanjiro's got a question for you, mate.
Email it. One scene made it controversial.
No, the next, yeah.
No Morrissey. God, he was Bob the Builder. Yeah. What about shows, conventions you hope to see? Shows wise, I'm going to go completely off piste and say we're going to 3 concerts in June, and I'm kind of sick of them getting cancelled. So if all goes to plan, in June I'm going to see Aerosmith for the first time.
Nice.
And they were like the first band, like rock band, that I really got into. And this concert has been cancelled twice already. Oh, we lost a Doug as well. And Crash Test Dummies, and we're going to see Billy Idol.
Nice.
In terms of welcome back, Doug. In terms of other shows, yeah, Games Expo. It has to be UK Games Expo. I really hope it goes as planned, and then I can actually have a birthday at Games Expo for the first time in several years. Will I have an aero bar at the concert? No, it will melt. Doug, what's happening with you in conventions this year?
Well, I am headed to Pensacon in Pensacola, Florida, here February, around the second half of February. I'm headed to Pensacon. I'm headed to Gamma Expo in March, which is in Reno, Nevada this year. I think that's the last year that that's in Reno. And then April, I am at PAX East in Boston, Mass. And then Gen Con, Origins, all these different things. I wish, I mean, I don't know, it's hard with just never know what the world's going to be like. And, I say all these with some sort of caveat that, hopefully as long as everything can still keep going, that I'll be there. So, but yeah, I think any kind of international, convention at this point is off of my radar for 2022, which is unfortunate, but I think it's what we're having to deal with at this point.
I really want to go to GothCon in Sweden. It's not going to happen this year, obviously. Hopefully, maybe next year, but it's so expensive. What about you, Zach? Any game conventions? I mean, not just role playing, but any conventions that you're hoping to get to?
So I quite like video gaming, and so I'm going to Epic Land in the end of February to play video games.
Did Epic Land go ahead last year in the end? It did, didn't it?
I took my son to his first
cool.
Epic Land in October, and he loved it. But the thing is that I've spent the last 10 years using lands as a way to sort of get some time to myself, recoup, so that I can give my best help to my family. And then I had to take the kid to it. Now he's old enough, we're taking him along. And my wife is now starting to see the possibility that, in the next 5 years, rather than it being my time away, it becomes her time away. When my youngest also wants to come along. But the one I'm able to salvage out of that is Epic Land now do tabletop events.
I think Epic Land now have a crash.
Yeah, so I went to the first one of those last year, the Epic Tabletop they call it, and ran a whole heap of TCC, and it's more of a board game thing than an RPG thing. But Bruce and I posted up in a corner and just said, right, who wants to play role playing games? And there was enough people, so it was fun. But we played Soaring Lions. You heard of this one? It's a pro wrestling RPG. And it is so much
nice.
fun. You come up with these characters, and what's great about the system, right? And this is actually something that I don't think a lot of people would give credit to it for, is at the beginning you make up things about your character, and if you want to be a heel, obviously you're going to make fun of other people and all that kind of stuff. So they get you to make a costume and a persona and all this kind of stuff, which is great, because then if you want to be a heel, you can make fun of another player's character without it being a sour experience. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Right.
I said to everyone at the beginning, I was like, if you want to be a heel, that's cool, but can you just make sure you make fun of the character? And because if you call me Tubby, then I'm gonna cry. So. But that was a lot of fun. So there's going to be another one of those, actually another 2 of those this year. So hopefully we'll be able to get to those.
That is cool.
Yeah.
I played, I think it was Worldwide Wrestling RPG.
Yep.
Which friend of the show, Mata12, on our Discord, ran it actually in person, and a few of us got together, and it was a bit disjointed, I think, just because it was Matt's first time running PBTA game, and it's quite unstructured until you get your head around it. But it was so much fun, and we all had a blast, and we played a few games of it. That was great. I'd love to play that again. Matt, if you manage to watch this at some point and run it more, damn it. But I know he was running a friendly local game store as well, when they were doing a game night every couple of weeks. And everyone enjoyed it. So Bruce, the PBTA one is Worldwide Wrestling. and the one that Zach was playing was
Soaring Lines. I just put a link in the private chat for the
Soaring
drive-through
Lines.
RPG for it. They've got an expansion now called No Mercy as well, which gives you even more fun
Nice.
mayhem. Yeah.
I just do that.
Yeah.
Not really that helpful, but if I leave it up there for a little while, and then if I just get this to shift up, then we can actually see Doug. There we
That's
go.
all right.
You can just do a Wilson and just sort of,
Oh yeah, I can.
hang on. We're gonna have to do that now. Hang on.
Okay.
There you go. Hello?
I just thought I could go for or something.
Doug, did you watch the new Matrix movie yet?
I did.
I
did.
What about you, Zach? Did you watch it? Are you going to watch it?
Are you
haven't
gonna
seen it
admit that
yet,
you watched
so
it?
no spoilers.
Okay.
No
No,
spoilers.
I'm deeply into the Matrix stuff. I was like, watching all the Animatrix, loved the
The
soundtrack
Animatrix is amazing, I
and
think. It's
play
probably
the
one of
video. What I loved about it is all the universe, like all the content that came out for the Matrix in like the late 90s and mid 2000s, all of it was tied together. So the video game that came out on the Xbox, the original Xbox, was all played around the events of the second movie and stuff. So, and there's one of the Animatrix shorts as well. This is probably one of my favorite ones. There's an Animatrix short where, I mean, look, there's no spoilers at this point, right? It's a 20-year-old piece of content. If you haven't watched it by now, you're not going to
If you
watch
haven't
it.
watched
Right?
Animatrix by now and you
Yeah.
call yourself a Matrix fan, then you should be ashamed of yourself.
There's one of the shorts where where an agent is able to make it out into a human body, and in it's either the second or the third film, that human bumps into Neo as part of the film, and they have this like intense stare off, and that's it. That's like the whole like. If you were just watching the movie, then he just bumped into someone for some reason, and there's like it's never explained. But when you watch the Animatrix, you understand like it's so the way that everything tied together was so cool.
And it really does fill in like quite a few bits of plot here and there in the subsequent couple of movies.
Mhm.
Have you guys seen the new Matrix?
I have, but
You
Zach's
have?
just said no
Yeah.
spoilers.
So
Yeah, please.
I will say that I watched it with low expectations.
Same.
We actually went back and watched the first three movies first, and I think
Okay, that's brave.
that was
So it sounds
key.
like you missed out the Animatrix.
I think that is key to watching the fourth movie. If
I
you don't
agree.
go back, if your experience with the Matrix movies is however many years, 20 years, how long has it been since that last movie was out?
Long enough.
The third movie was out?
At least like what, 15?
It's
2008, I believe.
Yeah.
Was the third
2008.
movie.
Okay, so
Mhm.
if it's been more than 10 years since you've seen that movie, go back and watch those first three movies and then watch the fourth movie, because
Yeah.
How much the
I
15?
hated the way
Well,
the third movie ended.
Right.
The way that the third movie
I hate the way
ended
the
just
first movie ends.
well, it's
Just,
the
just the Superman bit. It just feels a little
Yeah.
bit, you know.
What
but-
disappointed me about the third one was that they gave him superpowers. Like up
Yeah.
until then, he was a human defying the odds, and then they gave him superpowers, and I was like,
But that's why I hate the
Yeah.
end of the first movie, you know, because it's just like suddenly he's flying around, and I'm like,
well, but that was in the Matrix, though. What I'm saying is
Oh,
like
sorry,
you got
you're right, yeah.
superpowers in real life, right? You got
Yeah.
superpowers in
Suddenly
Zion,
he's God,
and
yeah.
that was
Right.
like, yeah, that was too much for me. I I ducked out.
yeah,
but
I didn't
is
mind
definitely
it.
worth watching. It's I would go so far as to say that, like you, Doug, I had low expectations, and I was pleasantly surprised. Actually,
Knowing that there's two more movies coming, definitely.
Mm.
Knowing that there's a new trilogy coming, like that made me go, oh, okay, well then I can deal with like if this was just its own movie, I would have been like, I don't know. But knowing that there's more movies coming, okay, yeah, all right, let's see what we got. Let's give me more. Let's see. Let's bring this world more. Let's bring this more. This world even more fleshed out.
Being a Matrix, like a fan of the Matrix universe, is a funny state of being. Though, like it feels like every time they bring something out, you're just kind of worried about what it's going to do to the
Right?
universe that you love so much.
Right?
You know?
Yeah, exactly.
But then you look, because I remember watching the second one, thinking, "Oh, this is just it's ruined it," you know. Like, but now, like the second one has got to be like probably one of my favorites, you know, out of all the content that's come out. So it's it's weird because every time something comes out, you're like, "Oh, don't hurt my baby," and it changes it very slightly, and then you realize later it's like, actually that was a pretty good change. You know?
Yeah, I remember being slightly disappointed with The Matrix. This will probably not make any sense, especially if you haven't seen this movie. But I saw it not long after being wowed by Dark City. And the director's cut of Dark City, especially, which isn't what I saw at the theater, it was just the normal version, the theatrical release. But Dark City is a completely different film, but it does do that kind of challenging of the notion of what is real and what, you know, who am I and all that sort of stuff, sense of self. And it does it in a completely different way. Cinematography is different. The effects were great for the time, but weren't in any way as groundbreaking as The Matrix. But for some reason, having seen that film, The Matrix kind of missed the mark purely because Dark City had such an impact on me, which is really weird because if you put them side by side, you know, they're not really in any way similar. But if you haven't seen the Dark City, the extended edition, especially the director's cut of Dark City, that's worth checking out. Just because of what it is, which is like a film noir where a guy wakes up with amnesia and then spends the entire movie trying to work out who he is and why it is that everyone's acting really different and really weird within the city where he lives. And it's got Rufus Sewell and Kiefer Sutherland and Jennifer Connelly and William Hurt. So great cast.
That sounds really good. Yeah.
The 13th Floor was another one that was pretty cool.
The other thing that made me appreciate this fourth movie of The Matrix a little bit more was after it was revealed that Keanu had given like 70% of his salary from this movie to charity.
Yeah,
like
cool.
So it's like okay, he did this not just to like cash in, and it was just like, okay, Keanu's like he's a pretty like stand-up guy. I'm like, okay, I will. Like that's pretty crazy to think about. Like, you know, a lot of these actors, a lot of these reboots that we're seeing, it's mostly because, you know, it's like one more payday, one last payday for a lot of these actors. Okay, we're gonna reboot, we're gonna bring these people in to do these movies and kind of, you know, give, you know, new blood to an old IP.
Yeah.
And he was just like, yeah, I made a lot of money on making this fourth movie, but I'm gonna give the majority of it away to charity. Like that's pretty awesome. Like, okay, I'll get behind that.
You got to support that, right? Yeah.
Right. You know?
Yeah. The other movie that we're going to probably see this weekend, haven't seen it yet, is the new Ghostbusters film.
Yeah, I'm watching that tonight, actually. That's why I'm headed out to the grocery store in a little bit, because we're doing movie night here.
Oh, awesome.
Is that the one that's the apology for the last one?
Yeah, pretty much. I tell you what, Doug. I mean, you're talking about heading out relatively soon. Maybe I'll talk to my significant other, and I'll see whether or not she's up for staying up, and we'll do like an unofficial watch party.
Yeah, my wife. I don't know.
3, 2, 1, play.
Because it's available on digital. I saw it came out on digital like Tuesday, so I was like, oh, we didn't get a chance to go see this in the theater, and you know, it's one of those where I heard it's pretty good.
I don't know anyone who hated it. Yeah. So.
But do I really?
I think it is an apology to the fans.
For
the last one, from what I've heard, you know, like I
think it's
pretty faithful to the original content.
Nice.
Right?
And they deliberately chose not to include Ghostbusters Answer the Call as physical product within the Ultimate Ghostbusters Collector's Edition. And then the director basically bitched out at Sony on Twitter over the Christmas period and as a result, they're releasing it as a digital. Like you get a digital code for it, which basically means he gets no royalties. So he got what he wanted, but he doesn't get paid for it.
Yikes!
I was like, they probably didn't want to include it because the movie sucked. A lot of people like that film. I didn't enjoy it, but I also didn't enjoy like Bridesmaids either. So I think it's just, it's got nothing to do with the cast, nothing really to do with any sense of tradition. I just didn't find it that funny. Just didn't enjoy the film. I think they did the best they could have done, given the kind of motivations for it, I guess. But yeah, I just didn't enjoy the script. Not sure, as an apology, it was the third Ghostbusters film.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm excited to see what it was, and
well,
again, my expectations are not high. If it's delightful and awesome, if it's hot garbage, then it is what it is.
Well, let's compare Battle Wounds over the weekend. See how
right.
what we thought of it. So yeah, I doubt we'll get to watch it tonight, to be honest with you, but we'll probably watch it tomorrow. With that in mind, I mean, should we call it? It's pretty late. It's been good fun.
Do you want me to flip you guys off again one more time to show how much I like you guys, or are we good?
Andy's
are we
not
good?
here. It's worth it.
I know.
Just for our ego, just for our,
Just
so we don't the anxiety doesn't get to us.
So Andy, if you are watching and you
that's right, Andy. If you are watching,
but seriously, I hope
love you, buddy.
Okay.
Love you.
You kind of spontaneously disappeared. Maybe you've been chased by some bees. You've had to run away.
I hope
from
he's all right. Like that's unfortunate.
It's a little strange. So hopefully everything is fine. We'll be back next week. Usual programming on YouTube at 8:00 with Kickstart Your Weekend, where we're going to pick 3 favorite projects from Kickstarter that are currently running.
I know I've got my first pick already.
Have you? I wonder what that is. Well, I'll tell you what, Doug. If you are free to join us slightly late next week, you are welcome to bring that project with you.
No, I'm not gonna bring that up. I brought it up this week. I don't need to bring it up again. I'm good. I'm good with never having to talk about that.
There are a couple of interesting things that are on Kickstarter.
Yeah, there are some good. We could also talk. I know I put in the chat, but I really want to put Kickstarter on blast right now for indie publishers.
Yeah.
Like I could you could give me 15 minutes and I could just go off on Kickstarter right now. Because I think they kind of mess them over.
I'm fine with that, but I think that your lovely wife might be a little irritated.
But we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that.
We're not going to give you that. But to be honest with you, I'm fine with us spending some time. Are you thinking specifically about what they're doing with Zine Quest or not doing with Zine Quest?
Okay.
Do you want to save this for next week and we'll actually spend 15 minutes talking about it?
We can talk about it. Yeah, because I'm as someone that likes to support the indie RPG community,
and considering that Kickstarter really has been fundamental to that community.
Right. They did everybody dirty. Let's just say they've done it, and I will talk about it. We can use it as the after party if you want. We don't have to use it for Kickstarter Your Weekend, but I'm ready to like I understand certain things, but you know what?
It's not cool.
I could. Cool. You know what? I'm not even going to give them the middle finger. That's how mad I am.
You give them like
be all
zero
nice about it.
That's right.
0 fingers. So I tell you what, Doug. You can decide over the next few days whether or not you would like to have a 15-minute section out of our 3 Kickstarter or our 3 projects that we talk about. We can spend 15 minutes talking about this specific topic, and if anyone doesn't know, that'll probably be quite enlightening. Or we can move that to the after party.
We'll move that to the after party because I don't want to keep it.
You want to keep the tone high.
I want to give folks a reason to tune into the after party so they can see me just go off and see maybe blood vessels bulge from my forehead.
Did you ever see the show Stressed Eric? I don't know if it ever came out in the US.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
Basically, it was a cartoon in the late 90s maybe, and it's about a dad who's trying to like hold down a terrible job and look after his kids, and he has this blood vessel like vein on his forehead, and when he gets really stressed it literally kind of pops out and just strangles him. It's an animation, obviously.
British humor with that with the animation in the 80s was pretty crazy as well.
Yeah.
Do you ever see that show Wicked Willy? It was an
No.
adult animation about a guy that had an anthropomorphic dick, and it was just like all the
never saw
troubles that his dick got him into, and it was a British animation. It was hilarious, but it was called Wicked Willy. There was like 2 or 3 of them. They were like movie things, but yeah.
No, I never saw that. But Doug's going to go and find that now. And
I mean, I think we're going to replace Ghostbusters Afterlife now tonight for movie night.
Wicked Willy.
Yeah.
Wicked Willy Afterlife.
Yeah.
It's been fun. Thank you very much, both of you. Thank you, Andy, as well. Sorry that you disappeared. Hope everything is okay. Thank you also to those of you who tuned in to watch. We'll be back next week. And until then, just want to say thank you also to our lovely patrons. You help us keep the lights on. And if you haven't done already, please do follow the show and like and subscribe and all the Twitch variants of that. That'll be much appreciated. And we'll play you out with this wonderful outro. Take care, everyone. Ciao.